Hi guys, good evening, and welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I'll be discussing what I thought of the very recent and very dark episode of our new favorite Star Wars show, Andor. Damn. I mean, a lot happened here tonight, am I right? So, before I get into all of that, of course, please be warned, as usual with most of my episode reviews, this is a spoiler-filled review. So if you're not caught up on Andor by this episode, the one that dropped today on Disney+, you do not want to keep watching or listening, as I will be discussing spoilers, plot details, character stuff, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Let's get right back into it. First and foremost, this whole episode felt like a real win for the Empire. Like, we had a lot of Imperial characters in this episode, and it showed them winning on a lot of fronts. You know, they've captured some of our characters, they're learning about some of our characters' true identities, putting pieces together about pieces of evidence that point towards a larger scale rebellion across the galaxy. And, people have been taken captive, people like Andor prisoners are being demoralized and poorly treated and not being freed as promised. Mon Mothma feels the net closing in on her. Now she's got to align herself with some scumbag from her home planet. And speaking of her home planet, her cousin happens to be Vel, who was part of the Aldahani job with Andor and everybody else a few episodes ago. She's the one whose girlfriend is Krista or Sista, something like that. Anyway, apparently she's a higher up Chandrilian girl who comes from wealth and power, but throws herself in with the rebellion. Respect. And she's Mon Mothma's cousin. How about that? So it's interesting that Mon Mothma is in deeper with this rebellion than was originally led on, which I like a lot because, as we all know, she becomes one of the prominent leaders of the rebellion. So it makes sense that her own cousin would be a fighter on the front lines, so to speak. Although Mon Mothma doesn't seem fully convinced yet. And speaking of which, she had kind of a sad scene in this episode when she's trying to give a speech about, maintaining power for the people and representing the people and the planets that they come from in the Senate chambers, and multiple senators just talking loudly, completely ignoring and disregarding everything she's saying, and then people leaving their little Senate chamber pod things by turning them off, and people were just leaving in the middle of her speech. I mean, Jesus, talk about disrespectful and rude to do that to a colleague who's trying to deliver an empowered speech about giving more and more control to Palpatine and to the Empire overall. So this episode felt like a real win for the Empire. Like, our Imperial characters all had pretty good storylines and great scenes throughout this episode. Even that creepy one with Sergeant Tightass, who has now developed a thing for the ISB lady who tortured Andor's ex back on Ferrix, which was very dark and very sad. But it seems like there seems to be this unspoken respect between the two of them. Well, actually, he seems to admire her quite a bit, but I don't think she's quite feeling it yet, and I don't know if she will, because she's got bigger fish to fry with finding more and more evidence of a larger scale rebellion. But this was a great episode. It was a good episode. It was a good episode. It was a very good episode. It was a very dark episode, because like I said, this episode felt like a real win for the Empire. Like, our characters were demoralized, captured, feel the net closing in on them, and all of the Imperials were thriving throughout this episode on multiple fronts. And hopefully that means the next episode will be a big win for the rebels and the good guys. You can only hope. But this was still a good episode. I liked it a lot. It showed the real dark side, just how nasty and decadent the Empire really was. Like, they talk about staging the destruction of that rebel pilot ship, or the death of the rebel pilot, in order to gain more information about the rebel cause and whatnot. I mean, Jesus, that's just full-blown evil right there. This episode does a good job reminding us of just how bad the Galactic Empire was. And I like it. I like it a lot. So I hope you guys like this episode as much as I did. What did you think of it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Andor drops new episodes every Wednesday on Disney Plus. Have a great rest of your night. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.